If you're over 60 years old and you still eat this, then you may be causing the death of your cells. And in this video, we're going to talk about why that is. What food am I talking about? Well, it's something that most people love to eat. It's delicious, especially if you get to dip it into ketchup or other sauces. We're talking about fried potatoes, whether it's French fries, whether it's fried potato chips, whether it's home fries, tater tots, whatever you want to call them, any type of deep fried potato. It may come as a shock to some of you, but I'm going to tell you right now that the majority of people do not know how unhealthy fried potatoes actually are for them. So I'm going to share with you all the reasons why fried potatoes are so bad for you. Fried potatoes and joints. There was a study that was done on fried potatoes, and what they found was that fried potatoes were highly inflammatory. In fact, it was found that fried potatoes are even more inflammatory than red meat. Now, you might say, well, red meat is bad for me. The saturated fat and the cholesterol. Well, guess what? Fried potatoes are high in both saturated fat and cholesterol as well. In fact, if you look at just 100 grams of fried potatoes, which is about 3 ounces of fried potatoes, it contains almost 9 grams of saturated fat and also about 240 milligrams of cholesterol. And these numbers are just going to go higher and higher the more fried potatoes you eat. But let's stick with those numbers for now. 9 grams of saturated fat and 240 milligrams of cholesterol. Now, let's compare that to some other foods that we all know are inflammatory. For example, if we look at the same amount of beef, 3 ounces of beef, we find that it contains only 8 grams of saturated fat and 70 milligrams of cholesterol. Chicken thighs, 3 ounces, contains only 4.5 grams of saturated fat and 100 milligrams of cholesterol. Even bacon, which everyone thinks is so bad for you, has less saturated fat and less cholesterol than fried potatoes. Fried potatoes are very inflammatory because they contain a high amount of both saturated fat and cholesterol. Now, the problem with that is that when you eat foods that are high in saturated fat and cholesterol, you're going to end up creating inflammation in your arteries, inflammation in your brain, inflammation in your joints, inflammation in your organs, especially your liver. Inflammation can lead to dysfunction in many different parts of your body, including your joints. Fried potatoes inflammation. When you eat fried potatoes, especially if you eat a lot of them, your body will react by creating inflammation. And this inflammation can show up in your joints as joint pain and joint swelling. Why? Because your immune system starts to attack the lining of your joints, which is called the synovium. As the immune system starts to attack the synovium, you start getting inflammation and swelling of the joints, and then you end up feeling like you have arthritis. Some people may even develop rheumatoid arthritis from eating too much saturated fat and cholesterol. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks the joints, and this causes pain, swelling, tenderness, and even the destruction of the joints. In fact, there was a study that was done that showed that eating lots of fried potatoes, as well as other types of fried foods, could actually double your risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. So if you're someone who loves to eat fried potatoes, maybe you should think twice before you do. Because the research is very clear that eating fried potatoes can increase your risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. Fried potatoes health risks. There are many other health risks that are associated with eating fried potatoes. Not only are they high in saturated fat and cholesterol, but they're also high in acrylamide. Acrylamide is a chemical that can form in starchy foods when they're cooked at high temperatures. This is typically done by frying or baking or roasting. All of these methods of cooking starchy foods at high temperatures creates this chemical called acrylamide. The problem with acrylamide is that it can be toxic to your nerves, and this means that eating fried potatoes can cause nerve damage. Nerve damage can lead to numbness, tingling, weakness, and even paralysis. And it can happen in your arms, legs, hands, feet, as well as other parts of your body. Another problem with fried potatoes is that they can cause cancer. There is a link between eating fried potatoes and an increased risk of stomach cancer and also colorectal cancer. Fried potatoes after 60. When you reach the age of 60, your body starts to change. Your metabolism slows down. You start losing muscle mass. You start losing bone density. And you become more susceptible to inflammation and pain. That means that eating fried potatoes after 60 can be especially dangerous. It can lead to more inflammation in your joints, it can lead to more damage in your arteries, and it can lead to a higher risk of developing cancer. So, if you're over the age of 60 and you're still eating fried potatoes, it's time to stop. Your body needs anti-inflammatory foods, not pro-inflammatory foods. Fried potatoes arthritis. As I mentioned earlier in this video, eating fried potatoes can increase your risk of developing arthritis. This is because the saturated fat and cholesterol that is found in fried potatoes can lead to inflammation in your joints. And chronic inflammation in your joints can lead to the development of arthritis. So if you already have arthritis, you should definitely avoid fried potatoes. They're only going to make your arthritis worse. Fried potatoes joint pain. Fried potatoes can cause joint pain in two ways. First, they can lead to inflammation in your joints, which causes pain and swelling. Second, they can cause nerve damage, which can also lead to pain in your joints. Fried potatoes seniors' health. Seniors are more likely to eat fried potatoes than younger adults. This is probably because they have slower metabolisms and they don't need as many calories, but this is a big mistake. Eating fried potatoes can lead to all sorts of health problems in seniors, such as inflammation, joint pain, nerve damage, cancer, and even dementia. So if you're a senior citizen, stay away from fried potatoes. Why are fried potatoes bad for you? Fried potatoes are bad for you for many reasons. They're high in saturated fat and cholesterol, which leads to inflammation in your joints, inflammation in your arteries, and an increased risk of cancer. They also contain acrylamide, which can cause nerve damage, and they can lead to joint pain. Fried potatoes body damage. Fried potatoes can damage your entire body, including your joints. As I mentioned earlier, eating fried potatoes can lead to inflammation in your joints. This inflammation can cause pain, swelling, and even destruction of the joints. Fried potatoes can also cause nerve damage, which can lead to numbness, tingling, and weakness in your arms and legs. Additionally, fried potatoes can damage your heart and your blood vessels due to the high levels of saturated fat and cholesterol. These high levels can increase your risk of developing heart disease and having a stroke. Stop eating fried potatoes after 60. After you turn 60 years old, you should consider stopping eating fried potatoes. That's because your body becomes more susceptible to inflammation and pain as you age. And eating fried potatoes can lead to inflammation in your joints, inflammation in your arteries, and an increased risk of cancer. So if you're over the age of 60, it's time to stop eating fried potatoes. Your body will thank you for it. The best thing that you can do for your joints is to eat anti-inflammatory foods. Some of the best anti-inflammatory foods include leafy green vegetables, fatty fish, nuts, seeds, and olive oil. These foods are packed with antioxidants, healthy fats, and anti-inflammatory compounds that can help to reduce inflammation in your joints and improve your overall health. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And make sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, before you go, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.